Back if you are just joining us. This is Firecrackers, and we're about to discuss this topic of Trump re-election. Is it a win or lose for Africa? And now I'll be talking with my guest here in the studio, Dr. Adekotokunbo Pierce. Once again, thank you so much for joining us on the program at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So let us begin with the discussion we have at hand. Let's first of all say, how did you say the U.S. election result of it bringing forth Donald Trump once again to be the President of the United States of America?
In every election, the result is usually dependent on the people contesting. Donald Trump won. It was not so much that Donald Trump won this election, it was that Kamala Harris lost the election. And she lost the election because of the culture, the prejudices that exist in the country. Americans have a problem with women in power. Even today, you find that women in corporate America make less compared to their counterparts. The same qualification, same experience, they make less. Now, America has never had a female president, and it was one of the things that worked against Hillary Clinton when she ran against Trump. It worked against Kamala Harris now. There's also the issue of Kamala Harris. She was a prosecutor. And a lot of black people felt that she was so aggressive when she was a prosecutor in California that she just threw black men in jail. So, you know, behind the scene, these are things going on. So a lot of people, you know, even if she got 80% of the black vote, 80% of what? Most black people did not vote. That's what happened in this election. There's another problem. Kamala Harris is, you know, generally they say she's black. Not one of her family is actually an American. She is not a black American. She is Jamaican, an Indian Jamaican. So, you know, so many problems. Then there is the problem of, you see, the Democratic Party and the poor image that Biden had. She inherited it, there was nothing she could do. And the economy, even though the economy appears to be doing well, people don't feel it. They kept saying it throughout the campaign, that people are not happy with the economy. They're not happy with the economy because cost of living is gone up. Now, don't let Nigerians think it's going up everywhere. When we say cost of living goes up, 3% increase, that's what, 4% increase, not 120, 200% increase like we have here. But even if you have 3% increase, people complain. Inflation, compared to what they normally have, is high. So people were looking at the economy. Unemployment is only about 4 or 5%, but even then, people they were not happy with the economy. And Donald Trump took advantage of all of that. The wars in the Middle East, the war with Ukraine and Russia, is costing America a lot of money. Donald Trump said, I'm going to end these wars so that we will not waste our money. Donald Trump also kept saying that the economy is bad because we are wasting money, we are not making money. United Nations, we are supporting United Nations security forces. They're not committing their own monies to this whole purse. So people bought into that. So it tied up the wars with the economy. And then there's the issue of social preferences. Most blacks are church-going people. They don't want to hear homosexual marriage. And there was a video of a pastor who narrated all these things. Said Kamala Harris was proud to show that she was the first person to conduct a gay marriage, same-sex marriage. Most black people, they will keep quiet, but they didn't like that, which was one of the reasons why some of us, when we were in the U.S., joined the Republican Party, because those values are not our values. You cannot turn the country into Sodom and Gomorrah.
And the issue of abortion.
Abortion, well, You know, abortion is neither here nor there. Many people, some people agree that women have control over their bodies. They should determine when they want to have abortion. But that is not what determined the results of the election, because that could be 50-50. But these are the things I feel that led to the results we had. Luckily, as always in America, it was Donald Trump himself who challenged the process and said they were rigging here. He even said it before this election that they're going to rig it. They're going to rig it. You cannot rig election in America, really. You say illegal immigrants vote. You cannot vote. I lived there for a long time. I worked in the system. If you're an illegal, you cannot even come. You'll be arrested. You cannot come. If you show your papers, how are you going to get by? If you use forged papers, you catch you, you're in trouble. So the way they have their system, there is no one central. I heard some of your guests saying, you know, it went well because they did not corrupt the Independent Electoral Commission. There is no electoral commission in America. In every state, the Secretary of State is the returning officer for that state in every election. So that, and that position of Secretary of State is an elected position, not appointed. So that you could be a Democrat and you are the Secretary of State in a state where the governor is a Republican. So they cannot influence you, you know. Everybody is represented, watching their own interest. So we have to adopt a system such as that. We call ourselves a federation. We have different states. The states don't have any power. It's a joke what we have. We have to change the system to reflect something like what they have in the US. Then you have a seamless election. So, as they had in the US, we have to work toward that, because people are already saying that if we don't do some major changes in our electoral system, 2027 will be a disaster.
Well, that is definitely something to digest, it being a disaster. Well, we sincerely hope it's not going to come to that. So we have to agree that for the US election, the whole world seemed to be on pause, because this is the country with the biggest economy in the world, and then who emerges for the leadership position there. It's has rippling effect on a lot of areas in the world. For people that are victims of what's going on in Palestine right now, they were a little bit indifferent, because during their campaign, both of them seemed not to really care about their plight, because they were saying that, well, it doesn't matter who becomes the president, their fate is not going to change, be it Kamala Harris, be it Donald Trump. And then now a lot of people are also skeptical about what is going to happen with the Russian-Ukraine war, because people seem to think that Donald Trump might advise that the Ukrainian president, Zelensky, should probably concede and then just give Russia the territory that they want. That has been a lot of things that's been going on for the debate now. So, but now we have to focus on Africa. This is our own continent. During his tenure in office, the first time, Donald Trump said mean things about Africa, which a lot of Africans have not forgotten. But if you look at reaction on social media, it seems like a lot of Africans are actually happy that Donald Trump came into power, while it is obvious that during his first time, he didn't really care about us. So what might be influencing this change of heart, let us say, from Africans, thinking that him emerging victorious is a good thing?
I think that what happened is that Donald Trump's emergence is good for the people. It's not good for African leaders. So the people you see on social media are people, ordinary people like you and me, who are happy. Because what Donald Trump has for Africa is this. One, you know, he called Africa a shithole. Yes. What he has for Africa is this. You African leaders, don't come here looking for any help. Go and take care of your countries. Stop wastage, stop corruption, fix your countries. That's it. He has no respect for any African leader, you know, because of their inefficiency and their corruption. Therefore, let them go and fix. So that's Donald Trump. That's good for us, for the people. So that these leaders will not just go. All of them will congratulate Donald Trump. They pretend they're happy. They know what's coming. you're not going to get anything from him. Then there's also the issue of Christian-Muslim rift in Nigeria. When Donald Trump was in office the first time, he kept saying Muslims must not undermine and victimize Christians. Christians must be protected. So you have all those things going on, but that is where Donald Trump stands. He will not support religious intimidation, exploitation. He will not support leaders using that to manipulate the system in Africa, in Nigeria. He will not also allow these leaders, many of them will not be able to get a visa to go to America very soon. This our president will not set foot in America in the next 4 years till he's out of office because of his behavior. His record, his criminal record in America is still waiting for him. Therefore, Donald Trump is the kind of guy, you may say he's a criminal himself, but he has not been convicted. But Donald Trump manipulates the system. That is what got him into trouble. But he would not stand for any African leader who is a criminal, who is a fraudster. He will not look at them with any kind of respect.
Thank you. All right, so we will continue with that conversation. Things are getting interested. So let us go on this commercial break, and when we come back, we will resume discussions on this very topic. To stay with us. This is Firecrackers, and we're talking about Trump's re-election of Trump again as the U.S. president, whether it be good news or bad news for Africa. Well, we are still trying to figure out that right now, but my guests seem to be leading towards that it might be good for us in Africa, since Trump is a person who will be like, go face your region, and then probably that would wake up our leaders here in Africa. Do you think that something like that might actually play out?
Well, the economy will not be, there will not be change of policy in the economy relationship to America. But in terms of overall governance, I think we'll see a shift. For instance, in our election, if the election is not fair and open, it would not be accepted by Trump as credible. So I don't see how somebody is going to rig the election and expect Trump to say congratulations or look away. That's the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Their attitude toward Africa, toward Nigeria. You know, when George Bush was president, what they pressed a lot, did a lot to suppress and end HIV in Africa directly. When our own Barack Obama, a black man like you and me, was president, he himself and his wife, they were the ones that pushed this agenda of corruption against Jonathan, you know, because the propaganda that they took and promoted was that the Chibok girls were not Christian, and therefore Jonathan just sacrificed them, just ignored them. And they were pushing, bring back our girls all over the place, until they used that to oust Jonathan. Whereas what is behind all of it is oil, is the economy. Jonathan and what's this lady that is now World Trade Organization, Okunje-Iweala, they were pushing for a realignment with China. And America got upset. And that's what they did in the Democratic government. And they ousted Jonathan and helped Buhari to come into office. Clueless Buhari. Now, this is what we have. But I suspect that Trump doesn't really like to get involved with people's different countries' politics. unlike the British that colonized us and the Democratic Party in America that are more or less an extension of the British way of thinking, he would not get involved. You know, his own is business. If we don't want to sell our oil, he will get it somewhere else, but don't come and talk to him again. That's the kind of person he is. But China, this is why BRICS, this whole structure is important to us now, because these people, those countries that are in BRICS, they don't really get involved with the local politics of different countries, unlike America, unlike the European Union. So we are looking at a new world order now. We are looking at an interesting situation where with Trump is you go and take care of your business, and also in your area. To him, Ukraine is just a colony of Russia. Let Russia deal with its colony. Don't come and involve America. If you want to involve America, do it yourself. I think he may end up, you see, the war in Ukraine is also affecting our economy.
Yes.
You know, affecting world economy. So I think he will end that war, because what he has said, if he does it, is to say, it's enough, it's enough. Ukraine, no more weapons for you. Therefore, Ukraine may be forced to hands off and surrender.
Just this morning, we hear from, that is UK Defense Minister, saying that despite the fact that things are still uncertain, if Donald Trump is going to be aiding Ukraine for the war with Russia, that they will still offer their support to Ukraine. And then we also know that Ukraine too, they proposed some sort of a plan to end the war that is going on with Russia too. So do you think that it might be best to just key into it and see how things play out? So probably with that, we will be able to solve all these issues and probably have some sense of normalcy back in the world, because a lot of people are wary of how Donald Trump might handle the situation, because and however it is handled, it is still going to influence us in Africa, because they are also okay. Go on.
But why are they not clear what Donald Trump would do? Donald Trump has said what he would do, and it is Donald Trump. This is what he is. He will end the war in Ukraine because he's not going to support Ukraine. Why would he? He say, I personally agree with him on that, that look, Ukraine, you cannot win a war against Russia. Therefore, there must be some negotiation. And this is the old, you see, when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991 or so, the agreement was that the United Nations would hands off, would leave these countries that are independent of Russia alone. They don't have to go and join your UN, United Nations organization. But now America is bringing them in, they're bringing all of them in, which is against the interest of Russia. So you want to isolate Russia from the satellites that were with Russia before. You know, this is the problem. So, but Donald Trump has said he's not interested in that. I am going to let Vladimir Putin do whatever he wants to do to Ukraine. You know, so in other words, he's not going to waste taxpayers' money. That's why they voted for him. They voted for him to make sure he doesn't use, he stops the use of American taxpayers' money to fund wars all over the world. I think he's going to deal with Netanyahu too. Netanyahu is thinking, is pretending to think that Donald Trump will support him. Donald Trump will tell him, you know, we were sending you some heavy, heavy bombs. Those things cost too much money. I'm not going to waste my country's money on you. Stop that war now. Because what he has said about the Israeli war against Hamas and all these people is that you are wasting too much time. You are wasting money. You are wasting lives. Stop this war. End it now. So he's going to end it as soon as possible.
Well,
and Netanyahu will not be happy, because Netanyahu is going to go to jail. You know that. After this war, he's only prolonging the war to save himself from the legal problems he has at home. So if Trump ends the war, Netanyahu is in jail. So Netanyahu is not going to be happy. But the world will be a better place. It's never going to be perfect. Trump is not going to do everything he promises to do in America, but he will do a lot, much more. The world is changed. Notice what is going on. France, so many other places. The conservatives, the nationalists are in control. They're winning elections. Everybody is now trying to protect their territory, you know, protect their territory. And this is what is going to be good for Nigeria, because we have to protect Nigeria. And anybody, any leader, any head of state, any president who is not able to protect Nigeria, we're going to get rid of him.
Okay, all right. So if we are to look at
with the help of Donald Trump.
If you are to look at how things are in Nigeria right now, especially when it comes to our economy, despite the fact that Nigeria has gained independence, we are still not without foreign influence here and there influencing our decision on a lot of things that is still going on in the country. And now that, from your analysis, since U.S. has gotten a president of mind your own business and guard your own territory, and we know how closely linked our economy is with the United States dollar, so do you think that things might take a different turn for us now economically, especially since there seems to be some international cabals when it comes to the economies of the world, that they might not necessarily want Nigeria to excel because of their own interests? Do you think things like that changing this time around?
You know, I hear this argument that these international countries don't want us to excel. And I wonder, it is not the international countries that are our problem. We are our own problem. Let me give you an example. You see, I read a piece by one of our leaders, a former president, let's say, who said America must look into Nigeria so that we can have a viable, credible election. That is one of the most stupid and irresponsible things for a leader to say. What's America going to do with your own election? Did they call us to come and evaluate their own election? Did they call anybody from anywhere in the world? When China is having an election, do they call anybody? Why do we have to call international observers? What are they observing? What are they observing? Look at the general, the whole general, former head of state, Abdul Salam. He goes to supervise an election. INEC rigs the election. And what's he talking about? Who is responsible for that? What is he doing? What kind of a general is this? What kind of a former head of state is this? Now he's going to Ondo to go and supervise the election. What are you supervising? They have rigged the election. That is where you must stay and say, this will not happen. You cannot present this result until we go look into this. So what are they observing? Huh? Everything begins and ends with us. These countries abroad, these international countries, these are so-called advanced countries, they take care of their business. You take care of your own business. It's a question of you buy, I sell, we come and talk, we negotiate. Nobody. Let me tell you something. Obasanjo clarified this issue. This is key to understanding what is going on with our leaders. This oil subsidy removal is reckless, is irresponsible, it's a moronic act. I tell you why. IMF never tells you what to do. They give you advice. Obasanjo said it that when he was president, they tell them do this, do that. He calls Kwenjewela and Soludo. He says, look, Soludo especially said used to get angry. He said, should we do this? We do. Obasanjo said, listen, did they force you to do it? Did they come and put a gun to your head? No. So we are going to do the one that is in our interest. The others we don't do. That's the way you approach them. Not the way Tinubu has taken it as if he's a schoolboy, they're telling him what to do. And they quickly remove subsidy. They never, IMF never told him to remove subsidy the way he did. IMF said to improve your economy, you ought to do a number of things. You got to remove subsidy because subsidy is wasteful. It's too expensive. But at the same time, you have to fight corruption in the oil industry. Why do you remove subsidy and then the people who have been eating fat on subsidy are still there making more money? Isn't that stupid? Come on. That's the problem. Tinubu is incapable of attacking the corruption in the oil industry because himself is culpable. He's making money from the oil industry. His whole family is in there. Therefore, he cannot look there. If you don't fight corruption and waste and theft and inefficiency in the oil industry, forget about everything.
Okay.
Also, you have to, this is what, look, IMF doesn't, it's not they are not our enemy. Nobody is our enemy. We are, our leaders are our enemy.
So would you say that probably the privatization of the petroleum industry, would you say that perhaps it was premature? Since it seems as if it were to still be in probably government's control, the president could have a lot to say about it. But now that's out of the president's control.
The president is in control, and the president is corrupting the nation, and the president is what Atiku, what's his name, Tinubu, is destroying the nation. Forget about it. The more governments get involved in business, the more they destroy the business. It's not their business. They should have regulation, and that's all they need to do. By the way, the other thing that IMF said you got to do simultaneously is you got to diversify your economy. You cannot depend on only oil. It's just unbelievable. We've never, look, in the last, well, Buhari and Tinubu, this is like taking us 10 years back, -0. Listen, this country, every geopolitical zone has mineral resources, envy of the world. Even our own records show what we have. And the international community knows more than we do what we have. One of the most valuable minerals today is lithium. They're using it to power everything from electric cars to everything, computers and so on. We have it in abundance in Kwara State, Kaduna State, other states. We're not investing in it. So diversify your economy to allow states to control their mineral resources as they do in the United States of America. This is the United States of Nigeria. This is what it should be. If we don't do these things, we're not going anywhere. If you privatize and you do it properly, you won't have a problem because it's supposed to be in the private sector. Governments don't run oil companies. In Saudi Arabia, where they have this, is it Aramco or what? But they have this oil thing. But their country is a small country, and its government is responsible for everything. Government is responsible for everything, and they're subsidizing everything. Everybody is living well in those countries. We don't have such, we are a big nation, diversified nation, different interest groups, different ethnic groups, different nations within the nation. Therefore, we must do like they have in the United States. That's why this federation is okay, but you must follow it to the letter. If you privatize and you are selling shares to your family, as Tinubu is doing, then you've destroyed the system. So whether the government is in charge or whether you privatize it depends on how well you do it, how sincerely you do it, how truthfully you do these things, how efficiently you do these things. That's all.
Thank you. Right. So now let us look at how the election was conducted in the United States, because one of the things that it is true that we also have to take note of is they didn't have international observers trying to peek and prod how the election went, like it is for us here in Africa, not just Nigeria alone, but other African countries too. Whenever election is being held, you see there are international observers. Does this not paint image that perhaps we are not so strong to stand on our own feet? And also,
who invited the international observers? Is it not our leaders?
Well, perhaps they are trying to push the narrative of transparency.
Wait. Who are they doing to prove it? We, the people, have been abused, have been exploited. They lie to us. They steal election. What is the use of international observers? When they come, they write their report, they go. You still read the election. It's a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of money. It makes no sense.
All right. So what lessons do you think we could pick, a lesson or two that would really benefit us for Nigeria's election, not just general election, for our state elections too? What lessons do you think we could
As
pick
we
from
stand now, INEC is a fraudulent organization, totally defunct. Nobody believes in it. 30% of votes came in INEC chairman. The INEC chairman is probably a worse enemy of Nigeria than Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The two of them should be in the same jail, same cell. Now, listen. Look, these are criminal events. After billions, beavers, all this machinery, all we have to do. I lived and worked in the United States for 20 years. If you see the way people vote, you go to, it's like when you're taking an exam. When you're taking an exam, and then you have created a situation in the exam hall where people can cheat, they can look at the books in one corner, all sorts of things going on. You don't control that atmosphere, you're going to have fraud. So we must control. There has to be electoral reforms. There is nothing like INEC chairman. That position should not exist. It doesn't exist in any federation like America. Every state should have a state secretary who should be in charge of returning of results in that state. And that position of state secretary should be elected office, not appointed, because if it's appointed as it is now, you have local electoral bodies in Nigeria, all of them, all the members of the local body are members appointed by the governor. All of them members of the party. It's a joke. That's why whenever you have local election, only the party in government wins everything.
Okay.
So that must change.
But would that not be difficult, given that the way federalism operates in Nigeria is different from how it operates in the United States? Would we not run into some problem, or would it not lead to like overhauling of the system completely?
It has to be overhauled. Otherwise, we're wasting time. It has to be. You know, the 1999 Constitution, many people have spoken about it. It's a very bogus Constitution. It doesn't work. These things must change. These things must change. Even if we don't want to change the whole the 1999 Constitution, there are some recommendations from the 2014 Confab that we could begin to implement to achieve unity, equity, and an electoral system that has some integrity. Look, imagine if the president is the one appointing the INEC chairman and the INEC commissioners, as it is now. What gives that INEC structure any credibility? Zero. Zero. It's compromised already. So we must change, which you call is difficult. Change is difficult. Genuine change is difficult.
Yes.
Sincere change is difficult. We must do these things that are difficult. This is why we never got out of colonialism. because we didn't do what we have to do. Unfortunately for Nigeria, it was the military coup that set us back. And the military remained in office for over 30 years. So it is only 1999 that we started coming back to organize Nigeria. That's why we've had some fraudulent leaders, 1, 2, 3, but we are going to get it right. I believe that in 2027, whoever becomes the president must restructure Nigeria, or the Nigeria will collapse on that person.
Okay,
because it is now. You know that people are already saying that Nigeria is defunct. You just read out another terrorist group that
yes.
all over the past, particularly in the north, terrorist groups they are taking, people are paying tax to terrorists.
Yeah.
The government has no control. Most of these governors live in Abuja. They can't go home.
But now that we've talked about lessons that our federal government could learn from the election conduct in US, but what about the citizens themselves? What lessons do you feel that we could learn from the election? Because from what we saw from clips on international TV stations, we saw everything going orderly. There was no rowdiness. Things went sort of swimmingly. Although it could be debated if there was inducement of voters or not. That could definitely be debated. But what lessons do you think that the citizens could learn?
There is no country in the world where there is no corruption. A lot of people in Nigeria will tell, oh, US, come on. This election, you see the people burning ballot boxes? Okay? People attacking people. That's the way it is. But the difference is law enforcement. In Musk, once he started giving out $1 million, what happened? They invited him to court. They checked him. I mean, look into it and see what's going on. Make sure it doesn't go too far. That is what the countries can do. Government must be sincere. The judicial system must be sincere. Look, if you have a judge who is not truthful, who is not God-fearing, I mean, where are we going? Where are we going? You cannot have justice. That person should be ashamed of himself. Whatever happens, God will punish those people. You have already invited God's punishment by lying, by exploiting and abusing your position. God made you a judge. Do you know what that means? Where you can decide on life or death for somebody and you abuse that position? No. So, it is our leaders at the National Assembly. People should hold their National Assembly accountable. People listen to this issue of electoral reform. President cannot appoint INEC chairman and INEC commissioners and we hope for a credible election. It won't happen. He who pays the piper calls the tune. That's what's going on. Therefore, what can people learn? Just protect your vote. Refuse to have them cheat you. INEC must not be allowed. And when we say people, let me tell you, I call on leaders like Abdul Salam who are going to say they are supervising election and you are signing peace treaty. Come on. You are signing peace treaty. Outside they are burning each other's head off. They are cutting each other's head. And you say, what are you doing? All they have to do is to say, INEC, results must be credible. Finish. What comes out of the polling units gets to the collation center. If it is 50 for you, it will be 50 when you count it. Don't go and change the figures. Add 0 for somebody. That is what our people should do. Whoever is in a position like these leaders who are going to supervise, what are you doing? Now they are going to Undo already. They are already. I don't know what they're
talking about this, which is our next topic.